Welcome to the Full-Time Devils Everton preview. I'm your host Jay. Bit of a different one today because some of the team are still scattered around Europe getting back from Barcelona, but we won't go into that too much. So it's myself and my friend who's from the blue half of Merseyside, Everton fan and host of the Blue Room podcast, Dave Downie. Dave, thanks for coming on Full-Time Devils.
No problem, pleasure.
Yeah, if you don't know about the Blue Room podcast and you're an Everton fan, check it out. There's a link to that in the comments. Dave, it's a bit of a funny game this because it's two teams that obviously do have something to play for, but not really what we'd want to be playing for, if that makes sense.
No, I think that's right. I think from the United perspective, it's all about this top four. The resurgence under Solskjaer, I think, is really, I wouldn't say it's petered out, but I think he's finding his first difficult spell now with the run of results. Win against West Ham for me wasn't convincing from a United perspective, far from it. But an important one nonetheless. For ourselves, I mean, it's just been a bit of a roller coaster really that's been defined by two games against them. The first one, Jordan Pickford with that horrendous howler, and then the second one, which was a really hard-fought 0-0 draw against Goodison, which sort of revitalised us for a few games, and then we go and lose at a side that have lost 9 on the bounce and are already relegated. So, I mean, it's been a real head-scratching season, but it's had its high points, do you know what I mean? And I think for Marco Silva, it's really important now. I mean, we haven't got many games left, obviously, but I think it's crucial for him to keep winning over fans and carry him through to the summer and give him a budget to spend.
It's weird because I look at this game at Goodison, and it's a bit of a weird ground for United fans, Goodison, because we've had some real big results there in 2007. We more or less won the league. One of my favourite ever away games was the 4-2. Where, you know, at one point I think Chelsea were winning, we were losing, and then we went on, we got the goal. I think, I can't remember that you had in net. It wasn't Tim Howard. We loaned you Tim Howard, but we haven't let you put him play against you or something.
It was Ian Turner.
There you go. There's one for the quiz.
Yeah.
Quizzes later on, it's a bit of trivia.
He deserved a medal for that moment.
Good old Ian Turner, yes. And I think Chris Eagles even got a goal to round it off. It was an amazing game. We also had the game, David Moyes' last game for United.
Yeah, the infamous Grim Reaper game with front row. There's a Grim Reaper guy.
I remember David Moyes and Steve Brown sat there looking at set piece plays in the folder as we were getting beat. So it's been a bit of a mixed bag, but we've had some good results there and some not so good results. How do Everton fans look at this game, United? Is it still a big one, United coming to town, or is it not as big as perhaps it was in the past when Ferguson was manager?
Yeah, I mean, I think the scalp of beating United is a little bit different than how it used to be, if we're being really honest. But nonetheless, I mean, the history you guys have got and everything that comes with it, it's still a massive game for Evertonians when United come to town. I think as well, it goes unnoticed obviously because of your rivalry with Liverpool, but Everton and United have got their own history themselves. You think of Norman Whiteside, the cup final. You think of players that have gone to and come from United from our perspective as well. There's a lot of history amongst the two clubs, and I still personally see it as one of the key fixtures I look out for when the fixtures are released in the summer. I think as well. I mean, my most recent despairing moments when I hit peak Everton sort of paraphernalia was when we lost in the semi-final and Martial scored in the last minute. That was an absolute killer for me. So anytime we play it, I really want to get one back over on it. Obviously, it's not going to be on that stage anytime soon for us, unfortunately. But United's a huge game for Everton, regardless of when it comes.
I think that was the highlight for me of the Van Gaal era. I know we won the final against Palace, but that semi-final against Everton, that last-minute Martial winner was one of the top moments since Fergie's retired. Now you keep mentioning that lot and them, and there's almost a case of my enemy's enemy. My friend here, or his enemy, my friend, because we know who that lot are. You're talking about, obviously talking about Liverpool. Now, as is sometimes the case, there's a bit of conspiracy theories going on here because I think Gary Neville mentioned something on Sky Sports the other day, and it's been talked about that perhaps this is a game that, and you have to bear with me here, Dave. Right?
Yeah, go on.
That United can win this and win our other games and still make top four, but win our other games except against City. So the idea is we could win this game, lose against City, win our other games, still make top four. So the insinuation is that maybe if United win this, it's good because then it allows them to lose against City, which keeps City in the title race. So maybe Everton wouldn't mind it if United won this, if that makes any sense. If you can unpick that utter conspiracy theory that I've come out with that I don't personally believe in. It's just that it is being mooted a little bit on social media that Everton will let, not by Everton fans, I must hasten to add, but all United fans.
I disagree. There's Everton fans. Yeah, absolutely. Look, I mean, there's a general feeling right now amongst Evertonians that it's stop them at all costs, really. And why wouldn't it be? There'll be Liverpool fans who'll see this and think, what are they talking about? Why would you be so against your rival doing that? But I mean, you guys have experienced it the last few years with City's rise. We're in a worse position than Man United are. There's still a hope and a general feel about Man United that you'll get back to the pinnacle of English football, and I don't think it's anywhere near as far away as it is for ourselves, which makes it more difficult to have a neighbour who looks like they're going to sweep all before them. I mean, it pains me to say, but it wouldn't surprise me if they won the both of them. It really wouldn't.
I agree with you. I agree with you, mate, and I think, if you look at the way they're playing, they don't seem to have... I don't want to make this all about Liverpool, but it's worth talking about because they're obviously relevant. In the past, where you've always felt they had that bit of bottle job in them, we saw it in 2009 when Moyes was manager. We saw it in 2014 where Istanbul and all the rest of it. They seem to have got their act together a little bit in that sense, and they seem to have that little bit extra. But I don't know, it's this City juggernaut. Can it be stopped? Because you look at City, and they're just like a machine at the minute, and they just keep winning. So. Yeah,
I mean, but this looks different to me. If we're going on a Liverpool tangent for a second, it does look different. It looks like, it pains me again to say, it looks sustainable. You look at Van Dijk, you look at Salah, Mane. They've got players that can hit you all over the pitch, and they've got players that will stop you from scoring as well. That's always going to be effective. So, the conspiracy theorists will be out. Personally, I want us to beat Man United. I want us to finish as strong as we possibly could. It was the same when we played City earlier on in the season. I know many Evertonians who would happily see United give us a pasting if it meant City come to Old Trafford and win. And I can understand that from what I've just said in terms of you don't want to see your biggest rival win anything because, as you'll know, your rival as well, they can be insufferable. Yeah. And it's really difficult to take, even at the best of times, you know what I mean, when they're not successful.
To you, City win the league, I'm guessing it doesn't really mean a lot to you. We're sort of stuck here, and the bad thing for United fans at the minute is City could potentially do the quadruple, which, as some of the pictures will test you, would sort of give them one up, or they think they'd have one up. I disagree. On our treble, in terms of trophies, obviously they won.
But where does that rank in terms of...
This is a horrible
I know, we've gone into the depths of despair here. I hope everyone at home's got a strong drink in front of them watching this, but, where does that rank? Would you... If you were given the option of City winning a quadruple, and it meant Liverpool obviously win nothing, would that be easier to take than Liverpool just winning one of the Champions League or the Premier League?
I think for me personally, I'd like the treble to be special for us. I think that when you think about that, the not just the fact we won 3 trophies, the way we did it, it was such an amazing season. I lived through that season. I remember it very well. The last sort of the running. The last minute not the last minute, but the win against Spurs when we went 1-0 down, we had to win that game. The semi-final against Arsenal, and then obviously the final. Not just that, the semi-final against Juventus as well in the Champions League, then the final in the Champions League. It was such a special season. And I'd hate anything to sort of diminish that in a way, and I think them winning the quadruple would a little bit, because as soon as you mention the treble round here, all you're going to get is 1-4.
Yeah.
So I could probably stomach Liverpool winning it, and plus I live in Manchester, I'm surrounded more by City fans, so it's harder for you, mate, because you're on the doorstep, but there's very few Liverpool fans in my life. Obviously there'll be loads when they win the league. I'll never be able to...
No, they'll be from everywhere, and I mean everywhere.
Popping up on it, but I think given that horrible choice, I'd rather we still have the treble special, so probably I could stomach it. But like you said about winning every game and wanting your team to win every game, I'm the same. I want us to beat City, I want us to win every game. The funny thing is though, I don't think we can beat City.
Do you not think?
You mentioned United against West Ham. We've been dreadful since Paris. We have. Shouldn't say dreadful's a bit harsh. We've been up and down, but we've been probably getting progressively worse.
What do you put that down to?
I think there's all sorts. We were talking about this on last preview. There's all sorts of reasons. I think there's a bit of... It pains me to say it, a little bit of tactical naivety at times from Ole. I think he's played players that are injured or not fully fit. I think we're overly reliant on Paul Pogba and Marcus Rashford. I've kept saying that for a little while now. And if those two aren't firing on all cylinders, we struggle. And I think we've got defensive and even our goalkeeping issues. And I know people say, how can you say David De's got issues? He's an amazing goalkeeper, one of the best in the world, if not the best. But he's been had a little bit of a patchy spell, probably at a time when we need him most, because we've also had defensive issues. So it's a culmination of a lot of things that have made me think that City at the minute we're not just not on that level. And I think, you know, Barcelona beat us obviously handily the other day, and for me it wasn't a great Barcelona team. It isn't a great Barcelona team. It's just a pretty poor United team at times, and I think, again, pains me to say it, Paris might have flattered to deceive a little bit. I don't think we've fully hit those heights again. So we'll see, but it's going to be, I think it could be a long end to the season next, one way or the other.
Long time till August.
Long time till August. Now, normally here what we do, we usually have United fans on here, just United fans, and we go through our predicted 11s. What I'll do is I'll just quickly go through the team that I think will start, and I'm going to ask you a little bit about the opposition, because obviously you know everything about Everton. For me, this is a game we're missing Luke Shaw. I think he's still suspended, so I'm going to go with, for United, this is the United team. I think we'll go with Goodison. I think it'll be obviously De Gea in net. Had a little bit of a stinker at Barca, but I don't see him getting dropped or anything drastic like that, or even rested. I think he'll be the goalkeeper, obviously. I think the back four will be Delo, Rojo at left back, and the back two, I think centre back. I think will be Lindelof and Smalling. I'm going to go with a midfield three of McTominay, Pereira, and Pogba. I think he'll leave Pogba in, and a front three of Lingard, Rashford and Lukaku. I think he'll give Lukaku the nod there against his old team. That's my predicted 11. You can obviously see where I'm in the lead, but I'm not being too very honest with Dave. So, and I've got. I'm
actually better than the way you are, Jay.
And I've got away with it because it's only me doing it this week, so I've got to have an extra go on my own. Looking at the opposition, I was looking at who's out for you guys actually, and in an alternative universe, these guys could be playing for us. You've got Morgan Schneiderlin's out, Andre Gomes is out, and Yerry Mina. Now, I don't even remember Morgan Schneiderlin. He's a player that I wasted a lot of my time defending. I don't know why, because I think he's terrible, but you may disagree. And
not anymore.
Right, okay. And in the summer, Barcelona, in what can only be described as a fit of madness, tried to offer us Mina and Gomez and about 40 million quid for Paul Pogba, which was just ignored. I don't think they got a response. Are you going to miss those three players? Because those are the three ones that when I looked around forever.
Schneiderlin, absolutely not. I mean, he's barely featured this season. Right, okay, he come in, I think, around the FA Cup exit to Millwall, which was, you know, an embarrassing night for everybody. I think he's on his way out of the club. I think he sees himself playing elsewhere, which is a shame because, like yourself, when he first come to us, I thought he was a really talented midfield player, a bit box to box, could do all sorts of things very well, 7 out of 10 player. And then he just completely lost interest at a point last season when we were going through the ringer with Sam Allardyce and whatnot, being a manager of the club, and he seemed to dislike that as much as us fans did, and wasn't really given much of a run. So I think he's going to be on his way out. Mina's a difficult one. He's a bit of a taboo subject for us at the moment. He come in, made his debut against Chelsea away at Stamford Bridge, and I was down there and I thought, wow, we've signed like an absolute monster of a defender here. He's strong in the air. He can move, you know, his initial burst of pace. He's not the quickest, but he can, you know, first 5 or 10 yards, he can keep up with players. And he was just a really powerful, strong defender up against the best Chelsea had to offer. We kept a clean sheet there. But then he's had niggling injuries, and there's an issue with us, and zonal marking's been a thread throughout the season for us. And him coming from Barca, who apparently do zonal mark, he's sort of been one of the worst purveyors of that, which is sort of ironic. So he's out now. I'm not sure we'll see him again this season. Big question mark over him and whether he's going to be the long-term centre-half alongside Michael Keane for us, who obviously another United link, and he's done brilliantly. And then Gomez is the key man. I don't think he'd do himself any disservice in a Man United top. I think he's a top-class player. We've been really fortunate to get him initially on loan. Hopefully things behind the scenes are progressing to get him permanently. I think it'll cost us around 30-35 million to get him, which would be a bit of a snip, I think. He seems to love life for Everton as well. He seems to really have taken to the sort of community aspect of the club and things, and he's always the face of sort of charitable work the club does. So I really hope we get him permanently, but there's no way, given what we've seen from him in the games in which he's played well, because he did have a really rough time of it from probably that early Liverpool game to, again, he probably followed the trend of the team, what I was talking to you about before. I think we'll see a lot of suitors for him. I think Spurs apparently one of them, and he's got a 3-game suspension for a really silly stamp on Mitrovic for Fulham at the weekend. He's got a petulant side to him, which I think he needs to be weaned off. But I think other clubs will be in for him. So ironically, the only game he can play for us now until his loan spell finishes is Spurs away on the final day of the season.
Put himself in the shot window.
Of course, but it would not surprise me if Champions League sides are seriously considering trying to get him. So I hope we've got a move on behind the scenes and sort of got it sewn up. But he's going to be crucial because I think Tom Davies will come in for him at the weekend. Tom, when he's featured recently, has been really good. He's found a decent level. He's been a contentious figure for, well, since he scored that wonderful goal against City, which I'm sure you remember.
Very, very well.
Very
well, yeah.
He's been a really contentious figure for many people because he's only 21, and a lot of people don't seem to give him a chance. You probably know what it's like with young players and the pressure they're under when they come in straight away. A club like United, obviously, I mean, the shirt weighs heavy on young players, and it's often a sink or swim thing. With Tom, I think he's struggled at times to cope with the crowd and the burden that a lot of people have put under him. But I think he's come through that now. He's another one who had a wretched time last season under Allardyce and Koeman. I think he's come through the other side now, and we're seeing him express himself a little bit more. And, you know, when you score a goal like that, when you're first into the team, you've got a hell of a rod for your own back, haven't you? When players do those, so like, you know, when Rashford scored when Martial scored against Liverpool, those things happen.
Retired that day, but a legend.
But I often feel sorry for players like that, Jay.
After that, I don't think, because I get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
And I always think as well, in my opinion, we've seen it a little bit. With Lingard, we have this little bit. With Rashford, even you mentioned Rashford, have it where there's almost like a backlash with homegrown players. Because those of us who do defend him and stick up for him, like you'll defend Tom Davies or I'll defend Marcus Rashford, you get the old argument, you're only defending him because he's a homegrown, because he's come through youth. That's why you love him so much. He's not good enough, but you can't see it because he's come through the academy. And I think that's a lot of nonsense. I do think you're probably the same. You have an affinity with players that come through, of course, especially the local lads. You yourself. There's
a pride in this. You're seeing somebody who's from round the corner excel at the greatest sport that you love.
Exactly. You know. And it's always great to see that. But listen, I learned my lesson with Danny Welbeck. I defended Danny Welbeck.
You've not got a great track record, do you? Morgan Schneider and Danny Welbeck.
Ander Herrera's another one who's on his way out apparently as well. So I think I'm the kiss of death with these players when I start sticking up for them.
I'm glad you mentioned him because there's a rumour again talking about a bit of a merry-go-round that he's on his way to PSG. Is that pretty much done now? I think
so. Well, there's conflicting. The story that was being leaked to the press was that he first of all, it seems that his camp and Ed Woodward or whoever's camp are sort of giving out different stories to the press. So the first story was that he'd been offered 180 grand a week. He wanted 200 grand a week, which might seem over the top, but when you think of what Sanchez is on and in the team, you think, okay, that's doable, but United weren't willing to budge. Then it came out that he wanted a lot more, he wanted 300 grand or something, a bit more extravagant, and that was just far too much for a player that's probably not at the very, very top level, but, there's a few fans that love him. Then it's come out that he's actually done, it's going to PSG, then there's the rumours that he's not signed anything, there's nothing done, and PSG aren't sure on him because of his wage demands and the chance that he might not be a starter for them. So it's a bit of a mess, to be honest with me. I don't think we'll see him in the United shirt next season, if I'm being honest.
Well, and then in turn, I don't know if you've seen reports from some pretty reputable journalists who've said that you guys are linked with Idrissa Gana Gueye, who himself was really close to joining PSG in the January transfer window. So it seems like one of those two are going to end up at PSG, or likely Herrera. I think he'd take a fancy to him, given the fact that I think Idrissa Gueye turns 30 soon as well. Yeah. And I think he still wants out in terms of reaching a level where he feels he can play Champions League football now. Obviously, he's not going to get that with us at the moment. So I think it's a little bit of a case of, watch this space with him. But if you think, going back to our concerns, if we were to miss out on Gomez and Idrissa Gueye, who's been a linchpin in the side, and credit to him, he's been brilliant since the transfer request allegedly went in. If they were to go, we haven't got a midfield. So we'll probably come knocking at your door again at some point.
Well, you get no sympathy from me anyway, from Morgan Schneiderlin, because, we gave you Morgan Schneiderlin, and you gave us David Moyes. So for David Moyes...
You're always all sorts for Rooney.
That's fair. You did give us Rooney, you went on to break every record we had.
Yeah.
Goal scoring record. So, we do what you want for that, but, I think maybe it evened itself out over there, one Rooney for Moyes. I'll let the people decide that. Just before we wrap up, Dave, score predictions. You're like me. You're a bit of a realist. Saying that, though, I did go for a win against Barca. So
that's only what your friends would say.
Yeah, that wasn't very realistic. But from an Everton point of view, do you think this is a game? And I'm not just saying this. I don't think we've seen United lately. We haven't been great. I know up until the last game you had a really good run.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to put words in your mouth. How do you see it going?
Beating Arsenal and Chelsea was sort of a real kick up the backside for everybody concerned. The Arsenal game in particular, I think we were excellent that day. We should have won by about 4 or 5. I think even the most ardent Arsenal fan would tell you that. The Gomez blow is a key issue in this match. And, you know, I look at United's position. I think that there needs to be some feeling of retribution for what's happened in the last few weeks, particularly for Solskjaer as well, who, you know, it's the worst time that this has come for him, having signed that contract. Is it 2 wins in 7 or something like that since then?
That will be now. Yeah, you're right. So
and obviously the top 4 up for grabs still. He'll be desperate to win this game. So the way we are at home, we seem to have got into a real groove, really, particularly with the fans. You guys probably won't have kept up with this, with it being an Everton issue, but we've had real problems with the atmosphere this season. There's a group of fans called the Originals who have taken to sort of basically buying out a section of the Gladys Street and having it a bit like Crystal Palace was, where they have all of the singing fans in one section.
We've got a singing section on Trafford, yeah.
And it's really worked. It's worked really well. There's Goodison's rocking again a little bit. I expect nothing less on Sunday. I'm going to go for a score draw. I think it'll be 2-2.
You know what? I was going to go for 1-1, but because you've gone for that, just to mix it up, you went 2 out of 7. I think we'll turn this around. I'm just going to go for a conservative 5-2.
Lukaku all 5.
Lukaku, yeah.
That'd compound our season, to be honest. Yeah.
I would have said Snyder to get him 2, but he's out. But
2 own goals.
Yeah, we'll see. Anyway, it's going to be an interesting atmosphere, as you say, because it's a bit of a funny one. But it's 2 of the best supported clubs in England going at an old school stadium. What's not to like about that? Dave, just before we wrap up, give us a bit of a plug. What's your blog? It's Blue Room.
Yeah, at the Blue Room EFC on Twitter. We've just done a really interesting, mind you, probably won't interest anyone watching this. We've just done a really interesting interview with Joleon Lescott, who, you know, I couldn't think of anybody really worse to plug about this.
Dave, what you're doing to me, killing me.
Yeah.
If there are any Evertonians who are watching this, because I imagine there's, interested, then there you go, check out Dave's blog. And also, you do obviously have a lot of decent interviews on there, don't you? Have ex-players, obviously, City players that we don't like, but...
Well, given the whole plethora of United players we've had, I'm sure we'll stumble across one soon.
So many players when you look at it, because I was looking at it before. You've got like Fellaini, Phil Neville, Michael Keane, Lukaku,
Sahar, Tim Howard.
Yeah, Wayne Rooney.
Yeah.
It's just...
I think you can make an 11.
Doesn't brag up, like, probably in the Premier League
era
of players that have gone from Everton back.
Well, you've had the best years out. I mean, you need to send them back. So
it's been a bit of a mixed bag, but I can't really argue too much. Dave, thanks for joining us.
No problem. Really enjoyed it.
This has been the Everton preview. Don't forget to get involved on the comments and to like and subscribe as well. Thanks for watching.